Okay, good evening, everyone. It is 6 p.m. on July the 19th, 2021. It's time to call the City Council meeting to order. Mr. Rhodes, roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Austin?
Here.
Mr. Blankenship?
Here.
Mr. Hugen?
Here.
Ms. Jones?
Here.
Ms. McGinnis?
Here.
Mr. Ryerson?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, ma'am. And tonight, before we do our pledge and prayer, I want to ask everybody for a moment of silence. I think most of you heard Mr. Marty Williams passed away last week, and he was a person that come to every one of our city council meetings, board of works meetings, was one of the founders, discovered downtown Franklin, lived out by Hopewell, called him Mayor Hopewell, and he and his wife are just special people and touched a lot of lives. So we have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Mr. Ryan Reese, will you lead some prayer and pledge, please?
Will do. Invite you to join with me. Our Father, we come to you this evening, and first of all, as we think about all the things on the agenda, they pale in comparison to relationships. As we think of Marty and his family, we do pray for your comfort and strength for them in the days ahead. And we thank you for all the great work you did in this area. Pray that somebody step in and be inspired by what he did and take his place. And just thank you for the legacy that remains from the work that he did, the person he was. As we think about the items on the agenda tonight, it's exciting to see all the events that are going on in our city and our counties. We hear about them as we consider just matters of grants and land and property and how to handle those things. I pray for wisdom and discernment from above for our decision makers, our council, our mayor. We do pray that you just continue to help guide the future of our city. May we give you thanks and praise for it all. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thank you, Ryan. Okay, is there any announcements, presentations, or public comment for anything that is not on the agenda? Rosie, do you want to report your? Get right there with what you got going on with the chamber.
Sure, yeah, the Franklin Chamber is hosting Senator Todd Young coming up August 12th. It is a lunch, so everyone is welcome to attend. Go to our website to register. We're also having a community business and community expo coming up in September, and I hope that you all have that on your calendar as well. September 23rd at the Garment Factory. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll go to the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda for July 6, 2021.
Second. We have a motion and a second by Mr. Taylor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there isn't any old business, so we'll go right into new business.
Read new business by title only.
Second.
Second by Mrs. McGinnis to read by title only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Item number 1, Festival Country Indiana report. Ken Kosky, Festival Country.
Hi, thanks for having me. 2020, I didn't get a chance to make my rounds and say hi to you all, so it's great to be here in 2021. As I'm sure you all know, we have a small part of the building to operate a visitor center. That was a dream that existed long before I came around. Krista, Rob Schultz, and many others wanted to see that come to fruition. And I'm pleased to report that we're on pace to have 5,000 people go through our doors in 1 year. So that's something we're really excited about. I'd just like to share some of the grants that we've awarded this year. We were one of the grant sponsors of the Garden Walk that just happened this weekend, and that was an awesome event. I was lucky enough to get to go to it. The tractor pull that was this weekend at the fairgrounds, we did that. And we worked with the Parks Department on Festival Country Kickoff, kind of an event to kick off and educate people about all the festivals that were coming later this year through the parks, Discover Downtown Franklin, and many others. Just some of the other things that we're working on. We have 3 billboards to encourage people to exit and explore the downtown. So we're really happy with that. As part of opening the visitor center, we redid the wayfinding signage at the city. So some entities that were no longer there, those panels were removed, and some others were added. And we knew with the amphitheater coming this fall that that needed to be on the sign. So we actually expanded some of the signs and made room for that and created panels for the amphitheater if they're sitting at the street department. So in this fall, I think those will be added. That'll be a nice addition to that sign thing. We're on pace for our best year ever in terms of visitation, and I think it's a combination of things. People are truly discovering Franklin and how awesome it is. Also, people in general are, after a year of not doing much, are looking forward to getting out. So we're finding record traffic on our website. 20,000 people a month are visiting our website a month, whether it's in our county. So really happy with that. And really, that's all I have. If anybody has any questions, I can answer.
I just had a comment, Ken. Seeing you here around town and knowing what you're involved in, I appreciate your partnership with the city and the county. So, thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you more than you know, so thank you.
Okay, it takes us to item number 2. Request to apply for the IPEP 2022 Safety Grant 80/20 match fire chief Matt.
Yes, so I'm here since it has a match component. We're requesting to apply for a grant for a 5-gas detector. It will replace one of our existing 4-gas detectors or add detection for hydrogen cyanide, which is a byproduct when plastic items burn that we need to measure before we take off our air supply, so we're not breathing any toxic gases. And that unit also is about 1 year out from its end of lifespan, so if I can get them to pay the 80%, me only the 20%, I think that'd be a win-win. It's approximately $2,200, so our portion would be $440, which of course I would find it in the budget as it exists right now.
Is this one of those public hearing things?
No, it's just a request.
Sorry, Bob.
You can ask them for $440. But because there is an action component,
I have to ask.
it's going to apply for the grant.
I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Austin and a second by Mr. Hughes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Matt. Okay, item number 3, Common Council Resolution 21-26, a declaratory resolution designating an economic revitalization area for Peterson Property Group, EDC 2021-08, Community Development Specialist, Dana Monson.
Good evening. I am here before you tonight representing Peterson Property Group. Mr. Larry Siegler is here with Peterson. Mr. Pat Sherman, I think, was planning on being here, but evidently has been detained and was not able to make it. Peterson has come before us and came before the EDC last week with a proposal to invest $26.6 million in our city by purchasing 36 acres of land on Jim Black Road. They will be building a 450,000 square foot speculative building, so at this time they do not have a tenant, but they will be actively marketing that to a variety of potential users. This is going to be a really nice building for the city of Franklin because it is very flexible. Peterson does an excellent job with the clients and the people that they work with at creating this product. One of the things that's going to make this so unique is that it can be a single user or potentially be 2 tenants, something like that, which means that advanced manufacturing can come in, technology can come in, it could be logistics, it could be a variety of different types of end users for this. The first step in the process, and the reason that we are here tonight, is that this is not in an economic revitalization area. So we do need to have that declaratory resolution first. And then we will have the public hearing and the hearing for the tax abatement on August the 2nd. And yes, Ms. Gray, I do have a public, public notice ready to go tomorrow. I'm learning, see. So, so tonight we do have before you this resolution 21-26 for the declaratory. And that can be acted upon tonight.
It can be acted upon, which, if acted upon, will then set for the public hearing on the questions about the designation.
So you just need approval of the,
Declaratory resolution.
okay, so moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, here we go. That is done, and then the next meeting will be
August 2nd,
Yeah.
we're looking for the tax abatement request, which is for a 10-year tax abatement with 2% economic development fee, and then it will also be the confirmatory for the ERA in public hearing.
Okay, thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is for introduction only. Common Council Ordinance Number 21-15, an ordinance approving a resolution of the City of Franklin Plan Commission and annexing certain property contiguous to the Franklin corporate limits to be known as Nyberg Annexation. Senior Planner Joanna Myers.
Good evening. Mr. Max Melzer from Studio A and along with Ken Kern from Sunbeam Development Corporation is here this evening. This is the introduction for the Nyberg annexation. Property is located south of Upper Shelbyville Road, immediately south of the Nyberg addition. I do want to make clarification that the name Nyberg annexation is in regard to this 56.261 acres only and does not include the actual Nyberg addition where the single-family homes are located, with the exception of a 50-foot strip that does go from the north portion of this property and access Upper Shelbyville Road. There is, with the rezoning, a commitment regarding that. This 56 acres is currently zoned agriculture. The companion piece that will be heard or introduced next is for the rezoning to industrial light. This did go before the Planning Commission at their June 15th meeting, and they forwarded a favorable recommendation to City Council for the annexation. Public notice was met and set for public hearing August 2nd, at which time the plan will also be reviewed.
Okay, so introduction only.
Correct.
So we will go on to item 5, which is also introduction, Common Council Ordinance Number 21-16, an ordinance approving resolution number 21-16 of the City of Franklin Plan Commission rezoning certain property to industrial light to be known as Nyberg rezoning. Senior Planner Joanna Myers.
This property is exactly the same one that we just spoke about on the annexation, and the Planning Commission did forward a favorable recommendation with commitments to rezone the property from agricultural to industrial light. The commitments are in relation to providing additional buffer screening along the north boundary of the subject property, and then also that it restricts vehicular traffic cannot use that 50-foot strip to Upper Shelbyville Road, that the intention for that is for utility connections only if necessary. And this is also set for public hearing at the August 2nd meeting.
Okay, thank you. We are introduced. Takes us to other business. So under other business, I heard some of the comments that was made about this business sector that we have here in Franklin. So I'd ask Dana and Crystal to look into trying to figure out exactly what we have for manufacturing and medical jobs and just or jobs in general. So I think, Dana, you've done a great job here, and I appreciate the fact that we're going to share this with everybody tonight. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. As the Mayor said, we just started doing some analysis and looking at the diversity of our business sector here in the city. We all know that when you take and put all your eggs in one basket, as the old saying goes, you run the risk of causing yourself a lot of harm. So that's why when you're talking about economic development, when Amanda Rubu is working with Aspire, we're looking at diversifying our business base. You don't want to have all the exact same type of jobs, the same type of businesses in the same area. Because you can look at 2012 as a perfect example. When the tsunami hit, when the markets crashed, when the automotive industry practically tanked, we had several of our larger employers that were struggling because they were part of the automotive industry. But the unique piece of it was, as this chart shows, we had enough other types of businesses that used similar skills that those employees had, that they were able to move in to find other jobs. So we weren't in a situation that devastated our community. For many communities around the country, when you have one large employer or one type of large employment, you can really struggle when that sector has a downturn. And we all know that every sector at some point has downturns. So when you look at this, it shows a nice representation, and it's actually kind of surprising when we did this, that other services is the highest of our employees, and very closely behind that is healthcare as far as the number of businesses that are here. Other services are things like hair salons, nail salons. They include HVAC, lawn care, those type of service industries. We have a lot of service industries here. We also have a lot of healthcare here. When you think about not just Johnson Memorial Hospital, which is one of our largest employers, but we also have a lot of specialty doctors. We have a lot of physical therapy. We have a lot of our senior care and senior living and things like that. So we have a nice variety of those. Of course, retail and construction, and then when you get right down into number 7 at manufacturing. So we do have a nice, healthy, diverse looking base when you look just at those first 10, the top 10 numbers. And when you go all the way down, you see that transportation and warehousing is all the way down to 16. It becomes very small, very tiny on those numbers, management companies and things like that. So we'll go to the next slide. We can look at the number of employees per sector, which kind of follows along sort of the same thing. Again, most of the employees that are in this record, and by the way, I should say that a lot of this data came from the Department of Bureau of Labor Statistics, Department of Labor from the city, or from the state, I'm sorry. And then honestly, a lot of it was, the mayor and I took about a 2.5-hour drive one day, and we drove around and looked at who's here, what are the businesses here, called as many of those as I knew to get some data and information. So it was a variety of things. Our intern with Franklin Development Corporation helped to put this together as well. So really want to thank him for his work. But you'll notice healthcare and health services, again, our largest employer, our number of employees, retail trade, and then number 3 is manufacturing. So while it's number 7 in the number of jobs or number of companies in the area, it's in the top 3 for our employers and things. And then you go on down, as you can see, accommodations, educational services, other services, wholesale trade. And again, when you keep on going down, you'll see that logistics and things, transportation, warehousing are much further down in that list. So we really are very diverse, very well served in that. The last slide is one that I think is always very important to people as well, which is your average weekly wage. When you look at those, again, no surprise in what you're going to see here. We all know that accommodations, food service, retail trade do pay the lowest. When you look at these numbers, I do want to make a caveat that it looks pretty small when you say, are they making only $384 a week? That is slightly skewed, and it's kind of hard not to have that skewing because so many folks in that accommodation, food service, and retail trade are also part-time employees. So when you're talking about a part-time person, they're not bringing home as much, so it does kind of skew that just a little bit to make that seem a little bit lower than it actually is. But when you go down and you look particularly at manufacturing, when you see theirs at $13.91 for an average weekly wage going on, and even with wholesale trades, $13.72, construction, $12.69, and all the way up into management, utilities, of course, professional services at $16.04. Those are some really nice numbers, nice things to come through. A couple of things about this report that I do want to say. When we're looking at these numbers and we're counting these numbers of jobs, it does not include the businesses that are within the downtown. And I went back and forth with this with the mayor. It's really hard to put the folks that are in our businesses downtown because our downtown is so unique and so amazing in that we have a lot of sole proprietors, family-run businesses, where there may only be 2 or 3 folks that are working there, and they're all related. It's a husband and wife team. We think of Tori and David over at Middle David Candles and things like that. So those are kind of in a separate category, and Discover Downtown Franklin does a phenomenal job of keeping that information, so we can certainly share that with you. When you're also looking at the number of jobs and the number of businesses, and we're looking at our buildings and things like that, we actually only have 2 buildings right now that are manufacturing type facilities that are actually vacant. And while they're vacant, they are actively being marketed and will more than likely be filled probably within the next 6 months. You can see the activity, the business things that are going on here. Obviously, a company like Peterson would not be here, Mr. Siegler would not be here tonight if he didn't know that there's an active need, an active place to do business here, to do business well here. The other thing that we hear a lot of is where are these employees going to be coming from? Right now, they're coming from a variety of areas. We are very fortunate in the location that we're at, that we're drawing folks who are coming over from Shelbyville, coming up from Columbus, a huge number that come down from Indianapolis to work here. They come from as far away over as Martinsville and Mooresville and come over to work. So we really do have a wide draw, but we have an easy draw because of our logistics, because of our drives being right here on 44, 65, coming up and down. It's easy to get folks here. I have a detailed report that I will be sending to all of the council members and letting you kind of have this to look at, but we just wanted to give you an overview tonight, kind of let you see everything that was going on and kind of see the diversity and the things that are in here. Happy to answer any questions. As you look at the report and come up with things later, please feel free to reach out to. Happy to answer any questions or do further research on anything you need to know.
Where do we do mining operations?
Is that gravel extraction?
That's gravel. That's Shelby gravel.
I had a.
Yeah, I know. I first looked at it too, and I kind of scratched my head a little bit, but actually it is. Shelby gravel is considered. I don't ask. It's
Where is Shelby gravel?
Shelby gravel, Shelby materials. They do the concrete and they have those kinds of things. Right. They have. It's actually. It's kind of skewed a little bit again because these numbers come from the state. Because Shelby has their operations here and they use it. They actually have a pit that's south of here in Amity. So that's counted in with this. It's a little weird.
Do they track any type of growth rate in these particular sectors?
You can find out if you just look at year over year. You look at different times, we can kind of see how we grow. So I could go back and request records from 5 years ago to see that kind of thing. But the state does have. You have to put some of it together yourself. They're kind of limited and sometimes at how helpful they want to be, but they do have the data there. The raw data is there if you want to mine through it.
Well, I've been on record, and this is, we're just talking, so.
Sure, absolutely.
I've been on record about, I'm just concerned about as we look eastward,
Right.
having a concentration in the warehousing side, which what we've got, with the people that we have are good products, so there's no issue there. But at some point, what do you reach that tipping point? That according to this report, we're not even close to that.
We're not even close to that yet. We're really not. Like I said, when you look at warehousing, for example, because I know that's had a question, we actually only have 3 facilities that could even be close to being called true warehousing. And even in those, for example, Energizer, there is packaging that's being done. So we have folks there with those kinds of skills. They have different skills that they're being used because nowadays it's not just somebody literally a picker going over and pulling a box off the shelf. It's very computerized and it's robotics and things like that. So we really have a very small amount of those, even with the logistics. And when you even look within those warehouses and logistics, again, that whole field has changed so much. It's not, like I said, it's not like you and I would have been used to 10 years ago. Yeah.
Do we do any type of projection where we might be, and say, what we anticipate coming online?
I think that's something that we can work with and look at and just see, here's what we've had, this is kind of how the growth has been in the past. Certainly working with Sunbeam, with Mr. Kern, and working with Mr. Siegler and folks like that. Believe me, they have those kinds of projections, and I'm sure we can continue to work, pull those kinds of information together.
Well, again, what we've got on the books is pretty good stuff. So,
Yeah.
and we're working with good people that, I raise these questions.
Absolutely, I understand completely.
It's part of my job.
That's right, absolutely.
next one.
In that manufacturing section, do you have anything that would tell us like what types of manufacturing
Yes.
facilities are?
Yeah, so I'll be sending you that folder. Like I said, this is just kind of a high level for tonight, but we'll have it more broken down and in depth and where you can see that. We have everything from 3D printing. We have, just as the mayor and Tara and I were able to go over and see IBC Advanced Alloys and the things that they're doing there. It's quite a variety. It's not just the automotive, although we still have a pretty strong automotive background.
And just to add, and if anybody in the crowd wants that report that's getting sent to the council, you're more than welcome. Just
Absolutely.
ask for it. It doesn't have to be a records request. Just say we'd like to have this and we'll give it to you.
Happy to do that.
That's great information.
Anybody else? Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
Okay, that takes us to council comments. Ken, I'll just start with you, just break it in.
So the parade went well the other day, had a large turnout, and there's quite a few people there, a lot of kids, a lot of children, and candy being thrown around. But yeah, it was a good time, so that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Blankenship.
No comments, sir.
Mr. Hughes.
Just another tip that I have to Marty Williams. I got to know Marty probably back in the 80s when I was doing good cheer, and he was one of those guys you just, all you had to do was say, are you in? And you knew he would be, and that's all you had to do. You knew what to do. And oftentimes would give me grief about stuff, but that was just, he did that on purpose. But certainly when I heard his passing, just like everybody else, I was sad about that. And think about Carol, and just a sad situation. Yeah. We were glad to have him, I'll say that, that's for sure.
Thank you, Mom. Mr. Jones. Hey, Mrs. McGinnis.
I'll just echo what Mr. Hughes said. Joe and I got to know him really well when Joe was mayor, and just great guy, and of course Carolyn too. So our thoughts go out to Carolyn and the family, but and then also glad to see the fair is back. So hope everyone goes out and enjoys themselves.
Thank you. Mr. Rogers.
Sometimes I wish I would go before Miss McGinnis. You stole words right out of my mouth. Because I was going to say,
I'm circling.
no, it's really good to see that the fair is back. Hopefully everyone will go out and enjoy themselves. If you do, be safe, have fun.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor.
Nothing tonight, sir.
Nothing tonight. Tara, you're not the council, but you're definitely involved. You have,
I don't have anything tonight, thank you.
all right, thank you. Mrs. Rhodes.
Nothing, sir.
Mrs. Stroh.
Yeah, I just thought what you want to say, it's hard not looking right there and seeing Marty. I've seen you there for I don't know how many decades I've stood there. I mean, I don't know, I told Steve when he passed away, I don't know anybody who doesn't live in the city of Franklin, engaged more in the city of Franklin. He technically did live here, so I hope everybody keeps Carolyn and the family. As a matter of business, if you recall, several months ago, we had a presentation of the individual companies that come and offer insurance that is available to homeowners for both sewer line protections and water line protections. I believe it was this end that had some questions about what would be expected of the city of Franklin. Reading between lines, we thought perhaps the question would be does that look like it's a city-sponsored insurance company or not? And so you would ask maybe if I could get some copies of what they would expect to send out. For those persons in the audience who don't know, sewer lines and water lines that are on your own property that run directly to your house are the responsibility of the homeowner. The city maintains the worst curbside. So a lot of times those, when those fail, those can be expensive repairs, and there are insurance companies that offer you to buy insurance that covers that if that happens. I reached out to Ally Terrell, who was the person who made the presentation, asked her if she could send us a copy of what would be expected to be sent, because I explained that you had some concerns about that. She is going to provide that to me. In the interim period of time, you have before you what Greenwood residents have. And you'll see that, and so I just wanted to get a sense of, I think a lot of communities are doing this, certainly doesn't mean we have to. They're using a different set of company, but that's pretty typical of what goes to homeowners. And then I will bring what Ally would propose for this. It's a different company, never heard of this one, but it came to my house, so I could share it.
Just for the record, Lynn, you referenced this section, I just want to make it clear that I was stuck down on the floor with Mr. Van Giersen.
You mean that section? Okay.
I was down on the floor.
Are you glad we're back up here, Rob?
But I will update you, but it appears that other communities are doing that. And you can look for yourself and see whether you think it looks like we're endorsing it or not. That's all I have, sir.
Okay, if there's nothing else from the council, it's
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
second by Mr. Dennis, all those in favor?
Aye.